Hi friends, and welcome back to the day before. Today's gonna be a little different as far as a video of mine because my dad died in early October and I found out in late October, and I'll tell you why that is. Today I thought I would just tell a little bit about mine and my dad's story, some memories I have of him, and some lessons I learned from mine and his relationship. So, I didn't meet my dad until I was over 18. This is because my family was poor, and I heard from them that his family was well off because both of his parents were professors at the local university in my city. When I did finally contact him, I did not want him to think it was about money. So I didn't meet him until after the age of 18. Up until I got the courage to try to contact him, I only heard one story about him repeatedly. My mom didn't tell me much else about him, and neither did my grandma, and my grandma's the one who raised me, not my mom. But my mom and my grandma who raised me, and my aunt, said that he knew about me when I was born. He came to hold me once when I was a tiny baby, when I was just born, and then he left, and they never heard from him again. And just like that, he just walked away. And I didn't hear from him again until I contacted him after I was 18. So, I was actually pregnant with my firstborn in the 10th grade. I knew I was attending the same high school as my dad attended, so I started to look through the yearbooks in their library. In doing the math, he was pretty easy to find. And there was no denying it once I found his senior picture in the high school yearbook where I also went to high school. He looked a lot like me, and it was just like a part of me was staring back at me from that picture. I knew that was my father. That was the one who he probably looked the way he did in that picture when he did walk away from me when I was a baby. He probably looked very similar to that. I'm over 18 and I decide to try to get a hold of my dad. I'm at my mom's house. I don't have a computer at home. On her dial-up internet, I look up the first and last name of my dad, and there are 3 results. So I printed those results out and I just kept them. And the one result that I knew was probably him because of where I was told that he, took off to after, the family found out I was born, they moved, right? I knew where he took off to, so I knew what result was probably the one that was him. I hold on to that piece of paper until I'm ready to try to call. And when I get the courage to call, I call the result that's in that state that I knew he was probably in. I got a hold of a woman. A woman answered the phone. When she answered the phone, I got really scared. So I said that my name was Donna, and that's my mom's name. And that I was a friend of my dad's friend's school, and that, I was just calling to see how he was and check up. So the woman gets my dad on the phone, or, he calls me back. I don't remember which one it is, but it happened pretty much right away that after, I talked to this woman, I was talking to my dad. I do know who picked up the phone was my stepmother. I talked over the phone with him, and we, talked for the first time ever. I don't remember much about that conversation, though, to be honest with you. After that, we would talk on the phone a lot, and I quickly noticed that we had to talk on his time. And it was always like that. Like, from that point forward, it was always like this, right? I'm already a mom. I'm already busy with my son, and I'm young, so I'm doing this, and it's really hard, but I'm doing it. He wouldn't answer my phone calls. If I called, he wouldn't answer. He would just call me back whenever, he got the time to call back. If I didn't answer his phone calls, it was a toss-up of whether he would call me back or not. Sometimes I didn't hear from him after the first phone call. He just wouldn't try anymore. And that was like throughout. That was throughout. That wasn't just in the beginning. It was throughout. The first time I met my dad, he came to my hometown for a visit, and I went to his hotel room with my son, and we just visited for a while. He bought my son a Buzz Lightyear toy, and I remember my son loved that toy so much. He held on to it for dear life for probably about a year after he got it. My dad also came over to my grandma's and met some of my family, and he came over to my house. It was nice, but it was a very awkward visit. After that, the next time I saw him, I flew out to California. It was the first time I ever flew. Like I said, I came from a poor family. It was also before September the 11th, 2001. It was a lot easier than flying now. I remember meeting my stepmom and my little sister for the first time, and that was a pretty good trip. I remember going into San Francisco with my dad, and this was the only time I've ever been treated like I was so special, and I was the only woman who was important. You know, that's how he made me feel, and I've never felt this again, but that was a special trip for me, going to San Francisco with my dad, and I'll never forget it. I saw Chinatown for the first time, and before this, the only time I ever went on vacation, like out of the state that I lived in, was a trip to Washington, D.C. with one of my uncles. That was it. So this was huge for me, okay? You know, he took me to Chinatown. He took me anywhere I wanted to go that day. I went to Hard Rock Cafe, and I saw Kurt Cobain's guitar, Jimi Hendrix's. It was amazing. I love that day, and I'll never forget it. But, you know, afterward, we were getting drunk at his house, and Dawn and Phil were there. And I brought up, him coming to see me when I was a baby. This is when I, found out basically that he didn't ever tell anyone about me. So he didn't tell his wife he came to see me as a baby. The only time he told her about me was when they got some paperwork for child support, right? So they got some paperwork for child support, and I guess they looked up a picture of me somehow. I don't know. But he was like, oh yes, there's no denying that's my child. So they were going to work out paying it, they say. But however, what happened was, like I said, I was poor, so my grandma signed up for some kind of services, and she found out that they were going to go after child support of my mom, which was her daughter, and my dad, right? No, she wasn't having it, so she put it into that. But anyway, I was crying, and he was saying no, he never did that. He never saw me as a baby, whatever. And then later on, honestly, what he had said to me was maybe he did, but maybe he was like, a drunk kid and forgot. So, either way, he saw me as a baby and forgot, or he just didn't. But I know he did. I believe my mom and my grandma and my aunt. Anyway, that really hurt me, and, I understand. He was keeping up the lie to protect his wife, you know, and good for him, that he wants to protect her heart and her emotions from being hurt. That's a great thing. That's one thing I looked up to my dad for. The women that he did care about, he cared about them a lot, and he showed them a lot of love, so that's good. But anyway, we didn't visit in person for a long time after that. And there were times in my life that I just didn't talk to him at all. I once got upset because his wife insinuated online that they were going to be first-time grandparents. I had 3 children already. That was a pretty huge, ordeal, because that hurt my feelings a lot. She ended up blocking me. She said to take a comment down that I posted, and my dad asked me to take the comment down. He wanted to protect her. Whatever. I just remember that. A lot of the times, when I was hurt by him, it was because I was treated like I was the less than daughter, or like the secret daughter. He didn't post me online, stuff like that. Anything about me, really. I think he posted a picture of me once and did not say I was his daughter. There was just some stuff. As time went on, we did talk, and, it was always that he called me when we talked. I wasn't able to call him. And we did meet up in person a few more times. He came to one of my college graduations, one of my son's college graduations. I went out to California, and while my husband, his boss, and his boss's other friends ran a half marathon, I did a 5K with my dad. The last time I saw my dad in person was a very long time ago. It was 2016. That very year, I believe, he was in my home state. He was 2 hours away from me visiting his brother to celebrate Christmas, and he didn't tell me. That was the last time I could have met my uncle. I never met him because he got brain cancer and died after that event. The whole family went there, and they had a beautiful, magical Christmas from what was posted by my biological grandmother on Facebook. That's how I found out that my dad was in my home state, because she had tagged him, and, we were Facebook friends. My dad never mentioned it to me. They were 2 hours away. It was like the only time I probably ever had a chance to spend a holiday with him, and he didn't let me know that he was 2 hours away. It made me wonder how many other times he was close to me, but he didn't visit me or his grandchildren. My biological grandfather and uncle died of brain cancer. I only met my dad's mom and dad once, and I didn't jive with them. It was literally that. I was raised to believe that they encouraged my dad to never see me again after the initial visit when I was a baby and he was a young man. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, I did feel a coldness from them. I know that they were, super conservative because my dad he was a liberal. So, he talked about that. And, they seem like cold people, so I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe my dad has some issues from them or whatever, but that's really not my problem. So, my dad got colon cancer. It was stage 4, and I never saw him after his diagnosis. My sister was married after his diagnosis, and my dad promised me to get me out to her wedding. We didn't make a lot of money, and we had small children, so I was broke at the time, and he didn't make it happen. I stopped talking to my dad in February of this year because, I just kind of got tired of it. I would see Facebook posts of him telling my other sister happy birthday, and even his dog's birthday is around mine. And he would post happy birthday to his dog, and he wouldn't post anything about me like I was a secret. And you know what? I don't deserve that. I stopped talking to him. He messaged my husband, that he was in the hospital and he hopes it doesn't come to this, but would I talk to him, if things went south? And my husband basically said things to leave the door open for me to talk to him. But I don't think I would have, and he died October 2nd. I found out on October 28th. I'm off of Facebook completely now, but I got on there for something, and I found out on Facebook October 28th that he had died on the 2nd. I love him, and I'll miss him, but he wasn't good for me. And, I have good memories. He did show me what it was like to be treated by a man that you're the only woman that mattered when it was alone time with me and him in San Francisco. And I'm grateful for that. But he also showed me how not to treat a little girl if you're their father. Because a father's supposed to show a little girl and a woman how she's supposed to be treated. And he didn't treat me very well sometimes. I will say this, whenever I had a boundary, and I said it with him in February, and I told him that, I didn't want to talk to him anymore because of the ways he hurt me, he did respect that boundary, and you know what, I do love him for that, because he's one of the people who has respected one of my boundaries. But, there were points in time that I idolized him. I did things to make him proud, where he would claim that I was his daughter too, and I didn't deserve to feel that way. I deserve to be loved just as much as any other daughter was loved by a father, and I don't know. I guess that's it. That's what I learned from him. And I'll miss him. And I do love him. But I won't miss him like, other people miss their fathers when they pass away. So I wasn't there when he passed away. Just like he wasn't there for me. And, I've been told by some people that I should feel bad for not talking to him. I don't feel bad. I deserve better. And he didn't deserve that from me. I guess that's all I have to say.